In question number 13, we will be looking at the use of the probability tree diagram to analyze events that happen in succession, meaning one after the other. Here, number 13, it says, for this example, the probability that Arian studies before test is 89%. So there's an 89% chance that Arian will study before test. Now, if he studies, the probability that he scores an A is 97%. That's if he studied. Okay, so you can already sense one event happening before another. Okay, studying and scoring an A. Now, if he does not study, because he can either study or not study, okay, there's a 77% chance that he will score an A. Now, part A says complete a well-labeled tree diagram to represent all the possible outcomes. And to do that now, we have to convert words to some symbols, specifically letters. So for study, we'll use capital S. Not study, we'll use capital N, because you can either study or not study. And A, well, A and A, and below an A, we can use B for below an A. So you can either get an A or below an A. All right. So let us see how this tree diagram can be constructed to represent this probabilistic scenario involving two events, one after the other, studying and scoring an E, or not studying and scoring an A, or scoring below an A. So here's the probability tree diagram in its entirety, and it's labeled. So let us break it down. That first section is with regards to him studying or not. Okay. So here, that first section is either he study or does not study. We use capital S for study, and we use capital N for not study. So we can clearly see it says here that the probability that he studies is 89%. And here it is representing here. The probability that he studies is 0.89. Now, since probability values adds up to 1 to complete the sum of the probabilities, we can calculate the probability of him not studying by subtracting 0.89 from 1. And the rule for the tree is that across any node, okay, here is a node, the total probabilities must add up to 1. Okay, so let me indicate the nodes. Here you have a node. Here you've got another one. Across any node, the probability values must add up to 1. And here we've got 4 of them. Here, 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 and here. So since the probability across any node must add up to 1, to obtain this probability value, we subtract 0.89 from 1 to get 0.11. So that's for this section right here. Now we have that other section. It says if he studies. If is an important one in probability analysis, and it has its own symbol. If is another way of saying given that he studies, okay, meaning a prior event studying, okay. The probability that he scores an A is 97%, and here it is represented. If he studies, look, the symbol for if is a vertical line. If he studies, the probability that he gets an A is 0.97. So this section here is all about getting an A or not getting an A. Or scoring below an A. So either an A or below an A. Which is represented by capital B. Now, the probability across any node must add up to 1. So therefore, if he studies, he can get a B. There's a probability of him getting a B if he studies. And that will be 0.97 subtract from 1 minus 0.97, which is 0.03. Okay, and this, you can call this the study branch. If he studies, you see, if he studies, the probability of him getting an A is 0.97. If he studies, the probability of him getting a B is 0.0. And below an A, sorry, is 0.03. Okay, so you can clearly see the if studies, or given that he studies, or after he studies, okay, after he studies, either an A or below an A, and it stems from, or it branches from, the probability of him studying. Now, there's a probability of him not studying, which is 0.11. So if he does not study, or given that he does not study, okay, the probability of him getting below an A is 0.23. Or, because the word for the node is or, okay? The word for the node is or. So anytime you see the node, you can say or. Or in probabilities is a very important word also, and it has its own symbol, which is addition. So anytime you say the word or, you've got to add. So that is why 0.97 plus 0.03 is equal to 1. Okay? And 0.23 plus 0.77 is also equal to 1. So we can label this or also. Okay, so you can translate the node for the word or. Okay, and here it says, if he does not study, there's a 77% chance that he will score an A. And here it is represented. If he does not study, the probability of him getting an A is 0.77. Or if he does not study, the probability of him getting below an A is 0.23. Now, we've got the outcomes now. The third section is called the outcomes. Here we make use of the word and. This pathway denotes the event whereby he studies and he scores an A, and here it is represented. There's a probability of him studying and scoring an A. And to calculate this probability, we simply multiply along the branch, 0.89 times 0.97, using the rearrangement of the contingency of the conditional probability formula. Okay. 0.89 times 0.97, 0.8633. Or there's a probability of him studying and getting below an A, and that will be 0.89 times 0.03, 0.0267. Or there's a probability of him not studying and getting below an A, sorry, 0.11 times 0.23. Or there's a probability of him not studying and getting an E, which is 0.11 times 0.77. So here's the probability tree diagram explained, and some follow-up questions are posed from it. To answer the follow-up questions, you must use the outcome values. These values you must use to answer the follow-up question. For example, what is the probability of him studying and scoring an A? And the word "and" is also an important word in probability analysis, and it has its own symbol, which is the intersection symbol. So when you see this symbol, you can see "and." Studying and getting an A. What is the probability of him studying and getting an A? And here it is. Probability of him studying and getting an A is 0.8633. What is the probability of him does not study and getting below an A? What is the probability of that happening? Not studying and getting below an A. Here it is, which is 0.11 times 0.23, 0.0253. Probability of him not studying and getting below an E. And what is the probability of him getting an E? Okay, well, he can study and get an E, or, remember the word or, we have to add, okay, the word or here also. He cannot study and getting an E. There are two ways of him getting an E. Studying and getting an E. There it is, studying and getting an E, or not studying and getting an A. There it is. So that's 0.8633 plus 0.0847. And that was 0.948.